So super stoked about today. We're being joined by a gentleman, Josh Keaton. He is a person that's been has worked with a couple clients of EasyAgentPro in the past, directly and indirectly with us for a little while now. He is a complete whiz with Google and Facebook ads and is a really, really great person. We're just going to kind of get his perspective on a couple of ads that he's run for folks in the past that have gotten really good results. One in particular, we're going to show you some screenshots of. After that, we're going to dive into the actual ads dashboard, and Josh is going to kind of point out some things that are probably a little bit higher level than Chris and I are used to sharing with you guys. And then we'll just have a Q&A after that. I know that we got a bunch of folks in here, and so I'm sure we'll have a bunch of good questions. Chris, Mikhail will be manning the chat there and answering your questions as they come up. And then, so just pop them in there. We will get to them as they come back here. So we'll kind of roll for maybe 10, 15 minutes here, and then we'll have a few minutes for questions. So, Josh, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself really quick.
Yeah, my name is Josh Keaton. I am a digital marketer. I live in Charlottesville, Virginia. Started off I've been in marketing a while, but I started off in real estate marketing when my younger brother and best friend became an agent about 8 years ago. I kind of decided that I was going to kind of use some of my skills to help him. After researching websites for probably 3 months, we decided on EasyAgentPro, and it was the best decision we've ever made. And so, that was about 3.5 years ago when we kind of built our first EasyAgentPro site. And that it was just he and I, and now I'm sitting in his office, and we have 7 team members and ISA agent and 2
Wow.
EasyAgentPro sites, and a lot of it, and I'd say thousands and thousands of leads that have come through the EasyAgentPro site. So I'm happy to be here and give back a little bit.
Fantastic. Great introduction there, Josh. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think what we're going to start with is a particular ad, and we just got a screenshot of how it looks on Facebook here that I'm going to go ahead and share. And we always talk about squeeze pages. We talk about those in conjunction with kind of other materials to create a funnel. But you actually made this particular ad using LeadLock. Is that correct?
Yeah, and actually, I can't see your screen.
I don't have it shared quite yet. I'm
okay.
queuing up my resources.
Okay, gotcha. I just want to make sure. So yeah, one thing, part of being, a marketer in real estate is, you're going to hear a lot of things that people are like, this works, but, I advise people to try all those things. But, what's interesting about real estate, why I love it from a marketing perspective, is like every single area is different. All of the, whether it's city, rural, downtown, whatever. And so that kind of creates unique opportunities for your market. This particular ad I wanted to share today because it's the most successful one we've ever done. And I think it was probably 400 or 500 leads we got from it. When you're dealing with Facebook, not all leads are going to be great quality, but this particular one, there's a lot of good things I think came about from it. But yeah, we use LeadLock, and probably my favorite feature on EasyAgentPro, because I can have an idea. Is this something neat? Is this something cool? And I can have the landing page up in literally a minute and try it. So, we do things, real estate with a pool, real estate in this area, over 10 acres. And this particular one, my goal was to kind of throw a wide net out and try to get people to the site where I could cookie them and then remarket to them. And that is a huge strategy for us and for any client that I work with, is get people to the site, cookie them, and then just kill them with great content, mix in IDX, Facebook, Google, YouTube, and some will convert the first time around, but a lot of them, you'll have to keep working on with the remarketing.
Right, and hitting them again and again so that you got that name recognition, and then finally you might start getting some clicks and some conversions.
Yes, absolutely. So this in particular, we essentially just created a bunch of pages with price ranges in it. If anybody out there hasn't done the one ad I would suggest everyone start with on their EasyAgentPro site is homes for sale under X, whatever that threshold is in your market, 200,000, 304, whatever it is, 100,000. People, there's a group, especially first-time home buyers that are out there that want that information. They want to know what entry-level homes are out there, and that is a constant rotation of inventory. And especially now in the spring, at least in most of the markets I work, it's pretty hot, and homes under whatever X is in your area go quick. So we've done a lot of those work, homes under 200,000 with 3 bedrooms, homes under 200,000 on an acre. I mean, the more kind of refined you can be, the better.
The more niche that you can get. And sorry to interrupt you, Josh. So right now what you're seeing up here, guys, is just a screenshot of what that ad looked like. So Josh, each of these blacked out areas are, of course, they're links to that particular page. Is that correct?
Correct. They're links to the hashtag lock page. So, with lead lock.
And I'm sorry, we blacked those out just to, protect the actual client identity. So behind each of these, if you guys can imagine, there is a URL to a lead lock page. And right after Josh finishes up here, I will show you guys how to lead lock a page. So sorry, Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So I guess the first thing you notice on here, there are emoticons, and I fought this for a long time because I think it's a little cheesy, but they just get attention. It's adding color, it's adding, kind of a little bit of emotion, expression on the page. So, I'm not a giant fan of them personally, but professionally, they work in Facebook ads. So we created, these 1, 2, 3, 4 pages here. And then we did what's called a carousel ad here. And so for each individual kind of price range, we have a home that kind of looks like our area home that is within that price range. And you can't see it from the screenshot necessarily, but you can hit the right left arrow or the right arrow and it would kind of scroll through. So you can hit the link within the ad or the photo, and it will go to our lead lock landing page. Now, I do not always lock everything. I'm constantly playing with this. Sometimes you gotta give people sometimes you got to give them information to get. And then sometimes I feel like, we work really hard, and especially if the list is unique or the ad is interesting, I feel like it's our right to ask for their information to provide this thing that we've curated for them. So it doesn't always, I don't recommend doing it all the time because people will just end up muting you. But, the clients that I work with have a really good social following, and it really comes from kind of mixing up great free information and great, opt-in kind of lead capture stuff. For
sure. I love this carousel type ad, and I know folks that have joined Chris and I for webinars about Facebook ads, that we always kind of recommend, starting a very particular thing. I think this is really fantastic though, because not only do you have, more opportunities, to link folks to what they actually need, and then, more links, but like you're covering a pretty broad range of folks with this one ad. You're going from everywhere from that under 300K, younger buyer of a particular demographic to folks that are, a little bit, maybe able to afford that, higher level home, all in the same ad. So it's kind of like it's a little bit of a wide net you're casting here. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of the point with this particular one. It is a very wide net. I mean, if you're interested in buying real estate, you're going to respond to this ad. I mean, period. There are also a few little things that I kind of want to point out before we get close to the lead lock situation, because I do want to go over that, and I hope you have the ability to show people how easy that is.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
as a marketing person, I mean, people use lead pages and all kinds of software. But God, I mean, I tell you, literally I can have an idea and within 1 minute I have a landing page together. It's awesome. So one thing I want to kind of just point, or two things I want to point out in this ad that I think we did well with. And I usually, when I have a big plan for an ad, I will put at least 3 or 4 different versions out there with various ad copy I will test. Sure. And in this particular instance, this one was the winner. So one thing right off the gate, and I'll tell everyone this is absolutely necessary, is state your objective in as early on in the ad as you possibly can. And this isn't necessarily just for your audience. This is also for Facebook, because people are complaining now that you know, the targeting isn't the same. They don't allow us to target likely to move anymore, or homeowners and things like that. But Facebook still knows that information, and their algorithms still know who a homeowner is. They still know who people, they still know the people who are moving into the area, and they still know the people who are looking to buy real estate. So I love to state the objective right on top. Are you looking to buy a home in this area? Period. Okay, so now we're going to pay Facebook based on our objective. And in this particular campaign, the objective was traffic. So I'm paying Facebook to get people to click on my links here. You can have objectives, can be watching your video, conversions, which is also obviously very good. This particular one is traffic, because I'm a fan of the rate that EasyAgentPro sites convert at. So my philosophy is just get people to the site. So when I say, are you looking to buy a home? And I'm going to use Phoenix for this call as an example. Are you looking to buy a home in the Phoenix area? Facebook's algorithms know who is looking for real estate in the Phoenix area. And since we are paying Facebook for clicks, and in this instance, traffic, they're going to show this ad to those people. And then as it learns more about who's clicking, it's going to just get better and better and better and better. So state the objective up front. If you're trying to target home sellers, you don't want the ad to talk to renters. So one of your very first phrases in the ad should be, are you looking to sell your home in 2019? That's not going to get the attention of people who aren't. And it is going to get the attention for people who are. So are you looking to sell your home in 2019? Here are 3 things you have to know. I mean, who is not going to look at that? I mean, every single person is. So so state the objective, put some color emoticons in there to get attention.
I love the emojis. I gotta say, I love them.
And then at the very bottom, you can kind of see under the home pictures, we added, you know, how many homes each one has. So you'll see in that one, it says over 120 homes, over 150 homes. And kind of hard to see that one. But that to me is telling the prospect, this is live data. You know, we and this is a special curated list, and it's live. I ran this ad for 10 months, but it was as effective the entire 10 months. So, you know, we get a few comments, shares, all that stuff is great. It's kind of funny. Agents will actually share it too, not knowing that anybody who clicks on it, you know, goes to our locked page, which is just fantastic. I always get a chuckle whenever that happens. But they'll share it and they'll say, hey, contact me if you're looking for a home or whatever. But someone clicks on the ad, they're going to our locked page, and you'll see
that's really funny.
Yes, it happens all the time. All the time.
That's fantastic. And the other thing that I find really interesting about this particular ad is, you know, from my understanding and, you know, the advice that we've given and, you know, kind of even from EasyAgentPro when we run our own ads, is that we try to keep it like, you know, the idea of brevity being, you know, an enticer, where it's like there's not too much to read. You know, you kind of get to the point quickly. Absolutely. And this really gets to the point. I think that this is really well written, but there's also a lot of content here. So I just find that to be fascinating in terms of, you know, the philosophy of, you know, running a Facebook ad. And you ran this for 10 months.
I ran for 10 months, ran practically the entire year. I had about 3,000 clicks to the site. And then I remarketed to those 3,000 people, you know, the entire year.
Wow.
it's hard to quantify. I love remarketing. I mean, I love it. And it gets a little bit, it can be sophisticated. It can be simple, but it can also be sophisticated. But this, you can, if you get people to go to your Easy Agent Pro site, you can then remarket to them when they go to YouTube. You can then remarket them when they search Google for real estate for sale. You can set up an audience that's already been to your site in Google and only target those people in AdWords. So again, wide net here, and we just market to them the whole year. And I know, all my clients had pretty good 2018's growth, but it was hard we got leads directly off of this, but we also got a lot of indirect leads from people who just saw us everywhere because we had effective remarketing in place.
Exactly. And that's also maybe not exactly an apparent benefit to running an ad like this when you're not, you might only see 20 leads come in, but the, 50 or so people that are constantly seeing you come back up.
Absolutely.
And suggested ads pays dividends too. And speaking of leads, I just want to share this other screenshot here. So are these leads on a site from this particular ad here?
Yes.
During January 1st to December 31st, we're looking at 981 leads.
Yep.
And that was back early 2018, just for that month. You can see so many visitors from this. And I mean, that's unreal results, coming from an ad like this.
It is. They weren't all this ad. I do run Google. Yeah, I run Google as well. The color change in the middle there was something weird that happened with our analytics, that everything was working, so I just didn't fool around with it. Maybe you guys can help me with that. But
take a look at that for you. Yeah.
One of them was, but yes, and I'm just kind of, usually a good converting site is 2-3%. I mean, that's over. What is that? Over 10% of the people convert. I mean, it's pretty absurd and not likely to happen in most instances.
Sure.
But again, we mix up content and IDX, free IDX, opt-in IDX. We're constantly doing things like that. And just one more quick thing about that style of ad. Yeah, you can do it with price points, but you can also do with anything that's just cool or interesting about your area. If you live, if another one we did that was similar to that was we broke down the area into suburbs, and we were like, looking to buy a home in the Phoenix area. And then each of those photos was a suburb. And again, the ones that are most popular and they get the most clicks, Facebook's algorithms will put them in the front of the queue there. So that it's applicable anywhere. I mean, if you're in a city, that has public transportation, condos for sale near the E train, condos for sale near the F train. I mean, it's extremely versatile.
How about school districts?
Absolutely. School districts is a good one. Probably, most agents will tell you one of the top questions they get asked is school districts. So that's a very, very good one. You want to change it up a little bit. If you're doing multiple ones, make sure you do different pictures so people don't feel like they've seen it before. We've done interesting features on homes. We've done, homes with home theaters built into them.
Great.
With basements, with unfinished basements, have instant equity in your home. Here's homes with unfinished basements. So yeah, this format works. Just kind of make it your own. And if people are having a hard time with ideas, that's probably one of my strengths. So you can drop. I'm sure we're going to share this to Facebook. You can drop, I'm having trouble in my town or whatever, and we'll, try to brainstorm.
Yeah, try to get some good ideas going for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. And just
let me interrupt here too. Sorry, we did have
go ahead, Chris.
Come in as well. Mr. Justin was asking how many deals were done. So what was the conversion rate of all those?
Yeah, as the marketer, I do not get into the CRM. I have monthly meetings with my clients, and I know. And not every ad works, believe me. They're going to say, this ad didn't work. We got a lot of bad contact info. I mean, it just happens. But we got about 500 forms filled out. I do not, this is a team of 8 people. I don't track it through, but the feedback I got was that things went very well. And And I'd say of the 500 forms filled out, probably 100 were bad contact info, maybe 150. And that's just going to happen when you force opt-ins. You just have to be patient with that. But again, this was setting up everything else that we do. So yes, we got leads. I can't tell you how many deals came from this exact thing, but my client's business grew about 25% last year. And this is like definitely a centerpiece ad. And they weren't doing any online marketing prior to me starting to help them. So I kind of mapped out a big plan, and this was a part of it. Everybody always wants to know where you get the leads from, but this was such a big scale. It's hard to come back and say, but I know it was good.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. But, when we're cooking with, that many leads, that's just going to be results no matter what. So, okay, great. Josh, thank you so much for breaking that down for us.
Yep.
I guess what I want to do really quick, Chris, I'm sure we got a lot of good questions in there, is just kind of show you guys how LeadLock works if you're unfamiliar with that tool, because we actually have upgraded it recently. So I'm just going to pop over here to our demo site.
And before we start that too,
sure.
Justin had one more question. He was asking what the budget was, just out of curiosity.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. So what I'll typically will do is throw up something like $5 a day until I get a solid test from the ad copy. And so I'll just kind of see which one looks like a winner. And then I think we ultimately did $15 or $20 a day, somewhere around there. When it was all said and done, we'd spent about $2,800 on this ad. And
wow. That's over the course of 10 months, though.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I totally understand not everybody has that budget. I totally understand not everybody isn't thinking, isn't supporting a team and thinking that big. So you can kind of, you can make it your own. And then again, Facebook wants your money. So if you're paying them for video views or for traffic, in this instance, it was traffic, they're going to find, even at $5 a day or $3 a day or whatever, they're going to find the audience that's going to click, because if they don't, they're not going to get any money from you.
That's a very good point.
So yeah, so Justin, I think we ended up spending about $2,800 in this particular one. But again, all the indirect things that came from it, I mean, it was in addition to a lot of additional money.
Right. And that carried on for months, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. But it'll work. It'll work with a few dollars a day. And not the exact same strategy. Price point strategy is the one I would start with everyone, but it'll work on a low budget as well. Again, pixel them. EasyAgentPro makes it so simple to add your pixels to your site. So pixel the site. Even if they click on the link and they don't submit their contact info, we are still pixeling them and we're still going to remarket to them. So, think about that. For $2,800, we built an audience of thousands of people who are interested in real estate. So that was also a pretty nice benefit.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. Some really good questions there, guys. So I just wanted to kind of demonstrate how LeadLock works, for everybody on the front end of the website. You might have noticed this instant landing page button that is now available, kind of on as your header bar. And again, this header and this one are not visible to users on the site, just yourself. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick. We got this Pacific Beach homes for sale page as a demo. Actually, real quick question is, were these links here Instafarm pages that were LeadLocked down?
Ooh, I'm so glad you asked that, Corey.
Yeah.
So you can add the IDX shortcode to just a regular page, which I think is just called pages on the back end. Mm-hmm. I personally like the Instafarm pages for almost anything, and I'll tell you why. That simple learn more form at the top of the page. Initially I was putting IDX on the regular pages, the blog kind of type pages with all the sidebar kind of options where they can get a home valuation and things like that. But I set up a few on Instafarm one time, and people just started filling out the form. So it doesn't seem logical that you send someone to a page for a list of homes under $200,000 and they would just fill out a form that says learn more on it, but it happens. Like, and sometimes they just have a question about that price range or a question about financing in that price range or the area. And I love Instant Farm, that big giant form right up on top, and it's universal for absolutely anything that you put. So I use it for everything. Like any page I'm going to build, if it's going to be content or just IDX, I use Instant Farm pages. And then, by the way, if the page gets a little traction and starts looking good, you come back in and embed a YouTube video in it that, you know, has even more power.
Exactly.
So, yes, I always use Instant Farm pages now for virtually anything, and content too.
Yeah, great. So, and that was actually a quick point. I mean, we're covering so much here. So, you know, guys, drop as many questions as you want. So if we're doing this as an Instafarm page, you know, these links here, you know, Josh said he ran this for 10 months. That might have you guys thinking like, oh gosh, like I got to keep something up to date. I got to keep visiting these, you know. But like if we're just embedding an IDX search into an Instafarm page and we're linking to it here, that IDX search is always going to be up to date. It's these are dynamic IDX searches that are embedded on these pages. So as listings come on and off the market, you know, it's going to update itself. So, you know, that really kind of means that, you know, that link is not going to go bad or need to be updated in any way. It's just going to always be, you know, the most up to date. So, so say for example, you know, we're running an ad like Josh's. We're going to do a, you know, this wasn't Pacific Beach homes for sale. It was Pacific Beach homes for sale, houses between 300 and 500K. You have that Instagram page set up. You embedded the search on it. You know, we can definitely show you how to do that and send some resources to you guys if you need to know how to do that as well. But to use LeadLock, all you have to do is click this instant landing page button up here. It's going to bring you to this form to build an instant landing page. You know, you're going to want to build your call to action here. You can ask for email or phone number. You can use just a default template or a non-default template. It's going to bring up the option here, and this is what your landing page is going to look like. Let's go ahead and pop this one, and then just go to View Page here, and it's just going to open it up in a new link for you. So, actually, here I got to copy the link for it, as a matter of fact. So this is a way that we have to build it out, so that you can actually, so this way somebody would have to be signed in to actually see this. In addition to using, so then you would actually just share this link in order to, you know, collect that lead data. In addition to doing it that way, there's another way too. It's actually almost even easier. All you have to do is you go to this URL and you just add #lock to the end of it. We'll have to open this in a new tab. Yep. And it's just loading up here. And I do have to apologize, when the screen share is going, the internet connection isn't quite the snappiest. So boom, and there we go. So then we have our just normal lockdown page. So this one has some questions that can be edited within the actual app section itself. But this is just exactly how Josh went and created those pages. He had his Instafarm pages, and he just added lock to the end of it. Now, on the actual ad itself, Josh, for these blacked out links, did the link display #lock at the end? What did you just paste it in as a plain text?
It ended up, I think it ended up truncating it, cutting it off.
Oh, that's perfect.
But yeah, I don't think, you know, if you're pretty savvy, I guess you could figure out that taking the word lock out will give them information. And by the way, I don't care about that. Like, if, you know, 1% of the people can figure that out, then they're still on my site and
exactly.
looking at it. So I don't care. But if you can use Bitly, or, you know, Google has a URL shortener, because definitely I'm a fan of SEO and kind of organic strategies as well. So the URL structure is a big part of that. So I definitely will have, you know, longer URLs sometimes, not super long within Google guidelines, but yeah, so using Bitly is definitely a good idea.
Right, you'll keep them in plain text. So yes, so basically that's exactly it. So he's right. You know, it's like if somebody you know, maybe if you're like your 13-year-old kid was looking at this, they'd be like, oh, I can just delete lock. But, you know, 99% of the people aren't going to realize that's, you know, kind of what is lock in the page down at least. So yeah, so that's how you use lead lock. Kind of running into the end of our time, or towards the end of our time here. Chris, do we have any more other questions that are looking super juicy in the chat there?
Yeah, I had a couple here. Excuse me. I did have one more. Yeah, so Julian asked, how detailed did you get with the targeting of the ad on Facebook? And
okay, good question.
The last one is going to be you, and I answered it already, just that you made one IDX shortcode per InstaFarm page. You didn't group up a bunch of different searches in one page, correct?
Correct, cool. Yeah. And if you get kind of, when you're dealing with, you know, a little bit of volume that this one created, it's also segmenting out the audience. So if you had, you know, 300 people click on the over 750,000 page, well, now I know a little bit about that person. I mean, they probably have a little bit more money. They probably have, you know, looking for a bigger home. So I can kind of, now I can then segment them out a little bit more in the remarketing. So now I have 300 people who looked at over $750,000 property. Same thing with under. People under the certain amount, you know, can be younger or whatever, but we just know their price point. They might be first-time home buyers in there. But it just kind of gives us the ability to kind of segment them out even more. So absolutely create one page. And I mean, if this was 10 different price points, I would try that out. 6 different price points. I mean, depending on how big your market is that you're promoting, definitely make separate pages.
Yeah, I was going to say, with that said too, because they just asked another one that was really, really good. Megan asked it. Did you also have these InstaFarm pages on the homepage of your site available for people to view, or did you hide them and just run the ad with it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I build so many pages that sometimes, you know, they have a purpose and then they're kind of lost in the user experience. I mean, I probably have, you know, 15 price point pages that aren't necessarily easy to find on the site, but I don't care. I'm just promoting them in that moment. And it's not necessarily a UX kind of user experience thing that I'm doing. I already have a nice user experience from the setup. So now I'm just I'm just using it just for promotion. So I do not organize it appropriately. I guess, you know, for a user perspective, it's already organized. You know, if someone hits my homepage, if someone hits my homepage, they can find homes. But for this particular objective, I did not. Now, I do have, you can go into the advanced editor and add cool little buttons. Anybody who wants to, you can comment on, and I'll show you a site that we did. You can just kind of add cool little buttons that lead to the other price point pages. It's kind of advanced. I can't even do it. I have a developer who does it for me, but EasyAgentPro gives you the ability to do some kind of advanced editing there.
Just using HTML, I'm assuming? Just some simple...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I had just pulled up, so that question about whether or not you wanted to hide the InstaFarm pages that you were promoting. If you ever created a bunch of them, you know, this little button is going to automatically edit to the menu. Just make sure you keep that unchecked. And then that way, even though the page is on your sitemap, it's not going to be added, you know, because you don't want to, if you spend 2 hours and you made, you know, 30 pages and you accidentally added them all to the menu, you know, you're going to have, you know, not the best UX experience there. But, you know, so just make sure that you keep that in mind if you're creating these in a similar fashion to that Josh did.
And I saw one question about the targeting, and I just pulled up the ad, so I can tell you exactly what I did here. So again, and I've tested this a bunch. If you're stating your objective, Facebook will find it. And just a quick example of that, I have one of my clients. 80% of my clients are real estate, but I have a couple that are just really cool businesses that I'm interested in. And one of them is a coffee company, and they're selling cold brew coffee, and we went in and we selected all these coffee selects, you know, coffee lovers, you know, there's 6 or 7 of them in Facebook, and I ran an ad to them, and you know, I was getting about 10-cent video views, and I knew it was targeted, but I kind of just said, let me just test my theory about stating the objective, and I just went back in and I targeted every single person in the city, except the first sentence I said, attention coffee lovers, you have to try this. And again, Facebook knows who the coffee lovers are. They're not going to show an ad that says attention coffee lovers to someone who is not. So in rethinking that, I got 1 penny views. So I went from 10-cent views to 1 penny just by targeting every single person, and stating the objective in the ad.
So you didn't really do anything here in the audience. You just did a specific location, and then you didn't really.
Yeah, so that's what I'm setting up. So gotcha. So here's what I did. Facebook gives you some pretty cool options for people. I always target people who interacted with posts and website visitors. So if you haven't built an audience of people who, you can go into audiences in Facebook and build a custom audience. Anybody who's interacted with your posts or anybody who's been to your website, I would have that as an absolute audience that you're always, whatever you do, you always going to try to market to those people. So I always target them. And in this particular instance, we took the city and we did a 50-mile radius.
Okay, gotcha.
And what we did was I segmented out people who are traveling in the location, people recently in the location, people live in the location, and everyone in the location. So people who live in the location, obviously you're getting homeowners and locals, but people who are traveling, I mean, how often, do people with money go to a city, or a beach area or whatever, like, oh gosh, let's look at homes here. It happens all the time. So they're on their mobile phone. They don't live in Phoenix, but they're traveling in Phoenix and they see the ad. I am a giant fan of targeting new movers. I have all kinds of strategies for it. They are the most hungry for information. They don't know a local realtor. They are absolutely, people who you need to target. And I'm doing some kind of follow-up content for EasyAgentPro. And I'm going to go over some of those strategies and kind of some other additional videos that I'm doing, like a particular landing page that I like. But in this particular instance, we targeted traveling in. And when Facebook says traveling in, that means they don't live there. They live somewhere else, but they're currently in the area. Recently,
and is that done under the detailed targeting section?
It's going to be. I'm looking at it right now. Let me see if I can find it. People recently in were travelers. While I'm looking it up, I'll find it.
Sure. Yeah, keep talking.
People recently in meant they were there, then they went back home to wherever they live. And okay, it's just in budget schedule. It's an audience, and audience, create new, use, save, custom audience, locations. So when you type in your location, Phoenix plus 50 miles. I mean, if you're in a area that is bigger, you can do 3 miles, 5 miles, whatever. And then on the very top, it'll say people traveling in, people recently in, people who live in. And then everyone. And let me just see if I can review.
That's fantastic.
People who live in were the most responsive to the ad. The second place was people traveling to. Actually, the most responsive was our people who interacted with our posts and websites. Those are the most responsive. Traveling in. And I would say last place, people recently in was kind of last place. But again, it's still, that was the smallest audience, and it was still 673 people who clicked on the ad. So, try them all and see. And then again, we kind of know a little bit about these people. Then we're going to remarket. If they were recently in, or if they were traveling in, they might be interested in content that's 10 things you love about living there, or 8 things new movers have said they love about the area. If they currently live in there, then they would probably, and they're looking at new homes for sale, then they're probably a good candidate to send them a home valuation ad. So again, this kind of wide net just gives us some segments to work with in the remarketing process. And again, if you guys keep up with the Facebook group here, I'm going to be doing a lot more video and content, going a little more in depth into some of these things, and specific landing pages that I've built.
That's awesome. Yeah, and so yeah, so Josh is going to be producing a little bit of video content for us, where he kind of gets in depth and probably with a lot of the concepts that we just talked about today for sure. So
yeah, and I have some really good guests. I've been in
awesome.
the Facebook group for 3 years, and there have been some agents who are just like a lot of you out there who are just getting started, just trying to figure things out, who have gone on to become multi-million-dollar producers, and gone on to do podcasts and like speak at Keller Williams events. I mean, literally, they started with an EasyAgentPro site, just like you and I, and they've gone on to some awesome things. So I have those people lined up, and we're working on some of the strengths that they had to achieve, because not everybody does it the same way, obviously. So keep an eye out for that.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, guys, I think that we just about have reached our limit for the webinar today. So I want to thank Josh for joining us. I know we covered a lot here. As always, Chris and I are accessible. You guys can schedule appointments with us if you wanted to, kind of review anything that we talked about here in greater detail. Chris, you got anything to add before we wrap things up?
No, I thank you, Josh, for doing that. I actually wrote some notes too for next time.
Yeah, I got a lot out of this actually. So thank you so much for having us, for coming on with us today.
Hopefully this helps you folks out. This will be recorded, and it will also be uploaded to the YouTube channel once we're done uploading everything. So keep an eye out for it in case you did miss part of it. And again, Josh, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, no, awesome. Yep. And both the Chris's, at some point in my career with EAP, you both have helped me, so I really appreciate it.
Cool.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. You can get us. My email address is chris@easyagentpro.com. If anybody wants to talk to me, just hit me up there, or post on the Facebook page and tag me, or anything like that along those lines. So thank you so much for joining us today, guys. This webinar will be reposted on our YouTube channel for review later if you want to go back and check anything out. So have a good one, and have a great day. Take care.